Welcome to Carolina Varsity's 2012 look at the NCHSAA 4A playoffs. And in this game we're going to look at a 12-1 Porter Ridge traveling up to play 14-0 North Davidson. And just a couple of things that I'll throw out. I did not have the Porter Ridge and the Max Preps prediction on the score, so I'm going to look it up while one of these two are talking. From what I've seen, I did do a lot of, I'll say, investigation. I watched a lot of highlights. There's a fair amount of North Davidson stuff up on the up on YouTube. We know a little bit about Porter Ridge, so we can repeat the same thing that we always say about them being good, position, fundamentally sound football team. I think this is going to be a lot like their playoff run last year when they had to go up and face a similar team. And that was Mount Tabor, and that was a knockdown, drag-out kind of a ball game. Very physical. This is going to be a very physical team. I tried to look up stats, and the first interesting stat that jumped out at me was North Davidson's had 52 sacks this season. They've had 17 in the playoffs.
Impressive. That's
pretty impressive. We talked off camera about a couple of the big boys that they've got on defense. Is it Shy Tuttle? Yeah. And then there's another Tuttle over on the offensive side of the ball.
Tevin Tuttle.
Tevin Tuttle, exactly. He plays a little quarterback and defensive back and running back, and so just looking at some of the stats, they've got 1,000-yard rusher. They've got another, Moore and Tuttle are both at 600 to 800 yards. So pretty heavy run team. Their quarterback's thrown for 1,300. Okay. So that's not great, but that's I'd say average for high school. Not average in Charlotte by any means, but that's fairly average. They're big on the defense and offensive lines. And looking at film, they also have what I think is good technique. I think they play good sound football. North Davidson does. Porter Ridge, of course, they beat Sun Valley last week, 28-21. They're in-town rival. And Chris Duffy did play, which that was one of the big questions, was would he play and would he be effective? And he had 14 carries, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. So his shoulder wasn't bothering him too much. Now, they didn't give him the ball an awful lot, but 14 times is that's a fair amount to give a kid that supposedly had a shoulder injury. I think from what I've seen and what I know about Porter Ridge, I have seen Porter Ridge play this year. I've only seen North Davidson on the film. I think it's going to be a real tough ball game for Porter Ridge to pull out. They're going to have to put their boxing gloves on and be prepared for a big push around by both the offensive and defensive lines in North Davidson. People like Duffy's going to have a, you say in big games, big time players come out.
Yes.
This is when the big time players are going to need to come out and shine. They're going to need that this Friday night, I think, to be able to play in this ball game. I do have a lot of faith, if you will, in the coaching staff at Porter Ridge and their ability to scheme and their ability to find ways to attack North Davidson and hopefully, for their sake, ways to defend against North Davidson. I think it's going to be a good ball game. I think it'll be a close ball game. Right now, obviously, North Davidson has to be the favorite, I think. Just by who they've played and how they've played and what they've got. Their roster is very impressive. If you look down the roster, they've got some kids, good, decent-sized kids across the board at all positions. These running backs, though, Moore's kind of small, but 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", the running backs. Hunter's 205 pounds, so the other kids are 170, 160, 170, 180, so they're not real tiny kids. They're decent high school size running back. So I think as a team, North Davidson looks pretty impressive on paper, and on film they look fairly impressive. But you know, for me, I'm going to go with the old Magic, and I think Porter Ridge is going to pull out a close one, and what I think could be a 30, upper 20s to low 30s ball game.
Okay. I did some research as well on North Davidson, and the totals have been at North Davidson for many years, and it's almost a tradition up there for them to have a Tuttle that's a star. Going back to a running back, I believe his name was Sean Tuttle a few years back, who was a really good running back up there. Interesting thing about Shy Tuttle is he'll play some goal line fullback, and they'll give him the ball, and he scored a couple touchdowns. And you imagine a 6'3", 290-pound kid playing fullback. I mean, I don't want to hit him. I wouldn't want to hit him when I played. But as Dale mentioned, Tevin Tuttle wears number 6, and he's a playmaker. He's got good speed, and they're trying to get him the ball in space. They also have a good kicker. We talk about Logan a lot for Porter Ridge, but North Davidson has a kid by the name of Spencer Landfried, and he hit a 48-yard field goal last week against Mount Tabor. And that's impressive for a high school kicker. Defensively, they're led by a linebacker. His name's Hunter Hoots. That's a great name. And he makes some plays for them. He's made big plays for them on defense all season. Their best win was a 37-35 win over Statesville. And they have beaten Mount Tabor twice, including last week in the playoffs. So that's definitely impressive. Because Statesville's still in the playoffs as well, down in the 3AA ranks. Mount Tabor's coach, Coach Marshall, had a couple of interesting comments I wanted to bring to light. His analysis is that North Davidson is a run-first team, and they like to throw the ball off of play action. So we know Porter Ridge is very disciplined in what they do. However, play action is a hard thing to defend against, especially against a run-first team. And if you got that speed they got, especially with Tuttle, and they may try to get him one-on-one off of some run action, of course, and maybe take a couple deep shots. Also, Coach Marshall at Mount Tabor has made an interesting comment, which I'm sure is big up there. He said that the refs have screwed him twice when they played at North Davidson. And apparently there were some controversial calls in last week's game up there. So Porter Ridge fans, that's something you need to watch out for, is maybe some home cooking going on up in North Davidson. But, you know, in the playoffs, the refs are supposed to come from different areas, so, you know, hopefully that's not the case. But, you know, that's something the opposing teams have said. Porter Ridge, sophomore quarterback, played well in the first half last week. Didn't seem to play as well in the second half. But they got the win, and that's all that matters. This will be the first time Porter Ridge has gone on the road in the playoffs this year. And from what I understand, North Davidson is a very tough place to play. It's up in Welcome, North Carolina, which, if you don't know where Welcome is, it's near Lexington. If you don't know where Lexington is, it's near Winston-Salem. So that gives you an idea where you got to go.
Doesn't sound very welcoming.
But in terms of predictions, you know, North Davidson's big on both lines. They've had some tough games in the playoffs so far, but Porter Ridge is coming off a tough game against a Sun Valley team they played twice, and North Davidson's coming off a tough game. They played Mount Tabor twice. So I think we got two very even teams here. And hell, I don't mean to curse, but I mean, you got special teams. They both got great kickers. You both got good line play. You both got good defenses. Instance like this, maybe it comes down to the quarterback.
Okay.
North Davidson's quarterback's thrown for 1,300, like Dale said. I think he's thrown a couple of game-winning touchdown passes, according to the research I've done. Porter Ridge's quarterback, I don't think he's been asked to make a lot of tough plays as of yet. They played with the lead a lot. So I'm going to take North Davidson by a field goal here. I think it's going to be a very, very close, good game. And us covering the Charlotte area, I hope Porter Ridge pulls it out, but I got to take North Davidson by a field goal.
Yeah, based on what some of you guys said, about North Davidson being a tough place to play, and one thing that really stands out is the level of competition they have to go up against. I mean, you got Davie County, Mount Tabor, West Forsyth. A lot of the teams in the Triad are really, really powerful teams, and top it off, they beat Statesville, who is still alive this week. Surprised they got by South Point, but that's for another discussion. But based on what you said about Porter Ridge playing with the lead a lot and having a sophomore quarterback who hasn't had to make some tough decisions, I kind of makes me think that would play well into North Davidson's hands right there. And I'm talking as a person who doesn't know much about either team. I've only seen a few highlights on Football Friday Night and maybe a couple more highlights elsewhere. But I gotta take on what little I know of North Davidson. I'm probably going to take them, by a touchdown over Porter Ridge. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's the other way. But I usually side with the home teams most of the time, especially this late in the postseason.
Okay, so you said it could come down to a field goal. I did look it up, and Max Press is predicting a 39-36 ball game. Again, they do this off of scoring. I do think it can be a game that will reach into the 30s, upper 20s to low 30s. So, that might be a close to accurate. I hear what both of you guys are saying, and so it sounds like I might be the only one picking Porter Ridge. I think their experience last year playing Mount Tabor, and I think that ball game was like a 31-28 ball game. Same kind of situation, a physical team facing a little more finesse team. If you can call Porter Ridge a finesse team, they are athletic. In some instances, people might think of them more as